Hello, Virgo, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of March 22nd through the 28th. And I'm so excited that spring is approaching. I hope that you're excited about it too, especially if you live in a colder environment like I do, or I'm in the Midwest. So I'm just done with snow, and it'll be hot one day, cold the next day. I'm ready for summer, just saying. Anyway, during this week, we will have a waxing crescent moon. We bring that energy in from last week, and that's a time of heightened senses and a good time for us to buckle down and work on those things that we've just started during the new moon. So that's awesome. We then have a little bit of a disruption with the first quarter, and that comes in on the 26th. And first quarter moons can feel a little bit, I feel like it's like a little touch of like the full moon energy. So, you're a little bit impatient, impulsive, your mind's active. It's hard to get things done. But instead of that lasting for a few days, it's really just that day or even just a couple of hours through that day. So just keep that in mind and just take note of it and manage it in whatever way you need to on the 26th. We then move into the waxing gibbous energy, and that's kind of back to work, back to being able to focus, but also now able to make adjustments on those things that we're working on. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Virgo. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is to work through your fears. All right. That's not a card that I see very often. Let's see what the Virgo Collective has going on for the week. I'm always curious to know when those cards come out, like, oh, that kind of sets the tone, right, for the reading. So it's like, what's going on? What's Virgo afraid of? I have a lot of Virgo on my chart, so I'm always anxious to see what any of these readings might be for myself as well. What do we have going on? All right, as I'm shuffling, my fun weekly reminder for you, Virgo, this week is that you keep a spiritual journal. And, this can come in very handy if, I'm going to say that, let's say you have a repeating number pattern and you just start writing that in your journal, and you see that, like, oh, I saw this number a lot this week, and some other significant thing happens for you that week, and then you go along and maybe a few weeks later that number pops up again, and so you journal it. Well, over time, if you're journaling these things, you can start to kind of see these patterns emerge, and you're like, oh, this correlates to this thing, and it's kind of like your own little secret um, key of how the universe directing, how it's contacting you and directing the way kind of the things go, little warnings. Anyway, keep a spiritual journal. It's just my fun weekly reminder. It's a good idea to do. So, all right, let's get into this reading. I'll stop babbling on and on. Virgo, March 22nd through the 28th, work through your fears. And your present energy right now, Virgo, is the Ace of Wands. So, this is the Ace of Wands is a big yes. If you have some sort of question in your mind, it's a yes to it. It's also about some sort of new passion that comes in. So this might be something that you might be a little bit fearful for, of, that this thing comes in and you think, oh, this was something that maybe I wanted to do earlier in my life, and I just didn't do it because I was just afraid that this, and all the excuses that we all make about not doing things. But here comes this passion again, especially if it's something that keeps getting in front of you. And in this way, this could be a person that keeps getting in front of you, that it was maybe a romantic relationship or a friendship, that the universe does want you to kind of go down that path. Or it could be a thing, for so I'll tell you something that I would be very afraid of is like whitewater rafting. If the times in my life, and I refuse to do it. I'm so afraid of it. And I love water, but I don't like water and danger combined. So this would be like, for me, if someone was like, hey, I have this free ticket for you to all expenses paid whitewater rafting trip. And I would be like, no, thank you, because it's a fear that I have. It is. And I don't know if I'll ever work through that one. It just scares the crap out of me. And then I hear stories that are awful. Anyway, think about it like that. Is there something that keeps getting in front of you that's kind of a thing that's, and for you, is it intriguing? Like the whitewater rafting thing for me, not intriguing at all. Not at all. But is there something like that, that it just kind of keeps getting in front of you and you're like, oh, I want to do that, but I'm a little afraid, right? Do it. Maybe this is your time to do that thing. All right. Next card, current situation. Five of Swords. So, okay, interesting. Five of Swords is really about, this can be winning through deceit or through some sort of underhanded tactics. And is that some sort of fear of something that you feel like whatever this is being represented to you, maybe you feel like you've been lied to in the past about it? That very well could be. I see almost, I see this because it's sword energy. This to me is about thoughts and ideas, but also about words. So it could be that these words that you're putting out, you're maybe holding back a few of them. Like maybe you started out with five swords and you're hurting people's feelings by denying this thing, or it could be the other way around. This could be you, where someone has said this thing, and maybe that is what's causing some fear, right? Maybe if there's some kind of block there, but it looks like there's been some words or thoughts about that, and that maybe it is some sort of deceit or someone being very underhanded, and that's maybe that happened in the past and now you have a fear of that reoccurring. So we'll keep going as the cards come out and see if that story continues. At the root of this situation is the Six of Swords. So this is something that you probably, you're moving on into your future in very calm waters. And do you feel like this is going to be a disruptor if you say yes to this, or if you embark on this thing? Do you feel like it's kind of disrupting your vision of what your calm future looks like? Okay, let's continue. What is just behind you is recently you have thought of making some sort of move here with the Chariot card. um I'd have to go through your readings and see if that's something that's been in your past readings. But this almost looks like I call the Chariot card the packing the minivan card. Like you're gathering information before you make some major move. And it's almost like you've been doing that. And here's the signal that says, yes, it's time to go. And you do have some sort of fear. You have fear of, maybe not knowing all the information. Again, like I said, that maybe there's been some sort of deceit or someone acting in a not up and up way that's kind of making you, and the card's telling you to work through these fears. And if it's, maybe it's going to be different this time. And maybe sometimes, sometimes when that's the case and you have to say that to yourself, usually it isn't. But maybe in this case, you do have to kind of rethink that. Maybe it'll be different this time. Let's continue. What's on your mind this week is the High Priestess. So, have you had some sort of intuitive thoughts about this or some sort of dream information? Like I said, if you're keeping a spiritual journal, you could go back for the last 6 months and look, maybe you are. But you might want to think about that. Have there been significant dreams or intuitions or things about this entire situation? And maybe you do need to trust your gut on this, right? You might have some fears, but your gut's saying, let's go for it. Or the other way, you might be saying, you might intuitively be saying, no way am I doing this ever because of this. So it's wanting you to work through some sort of fear. But let's continue on here. What is just ahead of you this week is kind of juggling things and feeling like you're keeping everything in the air. And maybe that could be that you just don't want to make a decision out of fear. That could be. Let's keep going here. In your advice position is the Ace of Cups. So be open. The advice here is to at least be open to loving whatever this new thing is. You have some fears about it in your past, and these could just be intellectual fears, really. It could just be in your mind. You've got these swords. Maybe it's false information. Maybe some of this information that was dropped here with these swords, maybe that's just not true information. So you do need to investigate that and really just pinpoint the reasons you are afraid of saying yes to this thing. Um, get out pen to paper. That's what I always say. That's how you work through pros and cons. What are the pros and cons of this thing? But the advice here is to kind of open your heart and be open to this. So don't forget that, right? What's beyond your control this week is the Star card. Wow, another card of the night, like the High Priestess, not as intuitive as the Moon, but still definitely things that come to us from the night in the night. But the Star card is really about being on course and kind of following the stars. So are you doing this down here in this moving towards your future? Are you kind of following your destiny? And this may be saying that this thing that you're so afraid of may just be your destiny. It could be something life changing for you. And again, tarot is a template. This Ace of Wands could represent a person, a friendship, a romantic relationship. That it could relate to Just something you find passionate. That it could just there's so many things under the sun. Anything that you can think of that people can be passionate about is what this might relate to for you personally. And you're just getting a yes. It's almost like these thoughts and these fears that you're having. This is what you need to work out. Whatever the fears, you've encountered this in the past. I feel like before, and these fears developed because it just didn't work out in the past. But I feel like it is like the stars have aligned here, and it is the right time for you. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Another ace, which is the Ace of Pentacles. So Ace of Pentacles is about a new financial opportunity, right? New money coming in for you, new material things coming in for you. So this is either your secret desire. I doubt you're trying to avoid that. I don't know anyone who is like, no, I don't want new money or new financial opportunities coming. So maybe that is your secret desire, is to make money doing whatever this thing is, or to have that be a new financial opportunity for you. And that is your big question. Is that what you want to do? For some of you, this could be changing a job, that you're changing over to something you're very passionate about, which might rearrange your life a little bit because now you have to re-educate yourself over in this sector. It's something that maybe, again, that you thought about in the past, it just didn't quite work out. So what is in your outcome position, Virgo? King of Wands. So look at you just being so in control of this passion and knowledgeable and really learning about this thing and making it play out. I mean, you've got so many aces showing up here and just this one card that seems kind of negative. And again, I feel like these are negative thoughts. Something didn't work out in the past, but it's almost like your gut feeling. You're just being, it's like the doors are opening for you and you just need to step through and say yes to it and just let these fears go. Again, working through your fears. What is hidden from you this week, Virgo, is the Devil card. Thank goodness. That's the best place for that card to be, is hidden from you. So these fears that you're feeling, this tells me with this Devil card here, these are not false fears. These are real and true fears that you're having, and you do need to work through them in whatever way that is for you. Again, making a list of things, and maybe kind of just confronting this. It could be that confronting this and saying yes to this, maybe you need people around you to kind of hold your hand through it, but that you can get through it. And I feel like you're going to get to the other side and be like, oh, thank God I did that, because I'm in a great place now. This money is now coming in. I love this thing that I'm doing. I feel like I'm on course. This was written in the stars for this to be in my future. That's really what the cards are saying exactly to you. And that you end up being the King of Wands, and the king, the king's about their element. It's about knowledge of whatever this thing that you're passionate about. And it's like, this to me is like the professor of whatever this thing represents. Like I said, it could be so many things under the sun for different people. Let's say that you're really into, maybe you're really into horticulture and growing plants, and you've been afraid before because your plants have died. Okay, so you have to work through the fear that you're going to spend all this time and money, and all of a sudden things are going to die. This happens to me every year when I plant tomatoes and I go on vacation. I come back and my tomatoes are withering on the vine. Anyway, however that template's for you, is you have to get over this fear, because what it does is it working through that fear gets you to a place where you are so knowledgeable, like you're literally the king of this knowledge of this thing, whatever it is. So I love that for you, Virgo, and all you have to do is take that first step. So all right, let's see what the Soul Oracle deck says for Virgo as a wrap-up card here. Virgo, from March 22nd through the 28th, as they embark on this new passion, is to speak up. Interesting. Very interesting because of this card. Speak up. Is this you in the back here being disappointed by, and is it like a naysayer or someone who's giving you false information? And you do need to speak up. And that might be your fear, is just that speaking up. So, Virgos tend to be very perfectionistic, and you don't want to ask people for help or ask anybody for anything, honestly. But maybe that's something you do need to do, is you need to talk to someone a little more knowledgeable, or make someone clarify something, because it's leading you to have a fear of something that you really shouldn't. All right, what do you need to do in the way of self-care this week? Self-care for Virgo this week, and the card that you get is a card called Action with a Staircase. Isn't that interesting? Baby steps are still steps, and they're better than standing still. I love this coming into this reading. Baby steps. Take those baby steps. The baby steps are how you're going to alleviate that fear. Each little thing that you do. And I think that you are going to get, this is something that you're destined to do, and you have to do it. You're afraid of it, but you have to do it. Work through those fears and do it by baby steps. Speak up when you need to, ask questions, make sure that you have all the right information. And if you're taking those little baby steps first, don't worry, those will become bigger steps as you learn and grow. So Virgo, thank you so much for being here. I do hope that there is something in this reading that you can take away and use. Of course, I'm so curious to hear what different passions this might be for different Virgos. And if you would like to drop a comment, if you're comfortable doing that, even if it's just one word, what is this passion that you're having to work through, your fears that you need to take action on? And to me, it would be interesting to see all the different Virgos answers, that I'm sure they're going to be very wide and different. So anyway, also, if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe helps to push me out there a little more, and I would appreciate that so much. So thank you in advance for doing that. But good luck with all of this, Virgo, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.